Michael Adams had never heard silence scream before, until that afternoon inside the hospital hallway. His heart pounded as he stared at the man standing in front of him. Daniel Carter, the quiet mechanic who had saved his daughter's life just 2 days earlier. Michael's hands shook as he held a brown envelope filled with money he had borrowed, begged for, and collected from friends just to repay Daniel. He pushed the envelope toward him. "Please, tell me how much you want," Michael whispered, his voice trembling. "I can't repay everything at once, but I can start. Please, you saved Lily's life. Just tell me the amount." But Daniel didn't touch the envelope. He didn't smile. He didn't even blink. Instead, in a calm, almost painful voice, he said 6 words that made Michael freeze, like someone had poured ice water down his spine. "I don't want your money, Michael." Michael stared at him, confused. Daniel stepped closer, lowering his voice. "What I want is the truth about your wife." The envelope slipped from Michael's hands and fell to the floor. The hallway went completely quiet. Michael felt his chest tighten. His late wife, Grace. How did this mechanic, this quiet man he barely knew, know anything about her? His mind raced, trying to understand what was happening. Daniel's expression didn't change. It held something heavy, something old, like he had been carrying this weight for many years. Before Michael could speak, Daniel added something even more shocking. "I know what happened the night she disappeared. And I know you've been hiding it." Michael's knees almost buckled, his breath caught, and the world around him felt like it suddenly tilted sideways. For a moment, he wasn't standing in the hospital. He was back in the past. In the stormy night he never talked about. The night Grace left their house and never came back. The night everything changed. But how did Daniel know? Why did he know? And what did he really want? Before Michael could ask, a soft, weak voice called from behind him. "Dad?" It was Lily. She stood in a pale hospital gown, holding onto the wall for support. Her brown eyes were tired but full of concern as she looked at her father and the mechanic who saved her life. The moment she appeared, Daniel's eyes softened, but only for a second. Then he turned back to Michael with a firm look. "Tonight," he said quietly, "come to my workshop, alone. I'll tell you what I want from you. And after I say it, your life will never be the same." Michael opened his mouth, but no words came out. Daniel walked past him and left the hallway. Michael stayed frozen, staring after him, his heart pounding so loud it drowned out the hospital sounds. Lily touched her father's arm gently. "Dad, what's wrong? What did he say?" Michael swallowed hard. He couldn't bring himself to answer. Because he knew something terrifying. Daniel Carter was not asking for money. He was asking for secrets, secrets that should have stayed buried. And whatever truth Daniel wanted could destroy everything Michael had left. Lily's tiny hand rested in her father's palm as they left the hospital later that evening. She walked slowly, her steps shaky, her face still pale from the ordeal. Michael kept glancing at her, terrified that she might collapse again. But even while he worried about her health, another fear grew inside him. A darker, older fear. Daniel knew something he shouldn't know, something Michael had buried for years. As they stepped outside into the warm Lagos night, Lily gently squeezed his fingers. "Dad," she said softly, "you look scared." Michael forced a smile. "I'm fine, sweetheart." But he wasn't. His mind kept replaying Daniel's words. "I know what happened the night she disappeared. Come to my workshop, alone." Lily didn't know anything about that night. She had been just a little girl, only 8, when her mother, Grace Adams, walked out of the house during a heavy rainstorm and never came home. Michael had told Lily she traveled and got into an accident far away. Only the police and one neighbor knew the truth. Or at least Michael thought only they knew. Now this mechanic, a man he had met just 2 days ago, was bringing it back. They got home to their small one-room apartment in Agege. Their front door creaked when Michael opened it. A dim bulb flickered overhead. There was barely space for the bed, a tiny table and a gas stove. Lily sat on the edge of the bed and breathed deeply. "Dad, what did Daniel say to you today? Why were you shaking?" Michael knelt in front of her. "Lily, you need to rest. You're still weak." "That's not what I asked." There was something strong in her eyes, something that reminded him so much of Grace. Lily was gentle, kind, loving. But when she wanted answers, she pushed for them. Michael looked away. "I'll explain later," he whispered. "I promise. Just let me keep you safe first." "Safe from what?" she pressed. Michael didn't answer. Instead, he helped her lie down and pulled the thin blanket over her. She drifted into sleep within minutes, breathing lightly. He watched her chest rise and fall. His only child, his whole world. The reason he fought every day. And now someone wanted to drag him back into the part of his life he had run from. A part filled with pain and guilt. At 10:47 p.m., Michael checked on Lily again. She was sleeping peacefully. He kissed her forehead, whispered a prayer to keep her safe, and slowly stepped outside. The street was quieter at night. Most shops were closed. Cars moved slowly. Generator hums filled the air. With each step, Michael's fear grew heavier. He reached Daniel's mechanic workshop, a dusty open yard with one small office made of wood. A single bulb glowed faintly. Daniel's old blue pickup truck sat near the entrance. Michael's heart hammered in his chest. Daniel was sitting on a wooden stool, waiting. He looked calm. Too calm. When Michael walked in, Daniel stood up slowly. "You came," Daniel said quietly. "I don't understand what you want from me," Michael replied, his voice shaky. "What do you know about Grace? How do you even know her name?" Daniel didn't speak. He simply walked toward the office door, opened it and stepped inside. Michael followed, feeling like he was walking into a storm he couldn't escape. Inside the small office, Daniel closed the door and turned to Michael. The silence felt thick, like it was pressing against the walls. "Sit," Daniel said. Michael sat. Daniel stood across from him, hands in his pockets, staring at the floor like he was choosing his words carefully. "You think I'm just a mechanic who happened to be there when your daughter collapsed," he began softly. "But that's not true." Michael frowned. "I've known your family for years," Daniel continued. "Your wife, Grace, she used to come to this same workshop." Michael's eyes widened. "That's impossible," he whispered. "Grace never mentioned—" "She didn't tell you," Daniel said, cutting him off. "She couldn't." Michael felt a sinking feeling in his stomach. Daniel stepped closer. "The night she disappeared, I was the last person who saw her alive." Michael gripped the edge of his chair so tightly his knuckles turned white. "That's not possible," he said again, shaking his head. "The police told me she left the house and never reached the main road. They searched. Everyone searched. How could you—" Daniel raised a hand gently. "Michael, I saw her because she came here looking for me." Michael felt like the ground beneath him was falling away. "Why?" he whispered. "Why would she come to you?" Daniel looked at him with eyes full of pain. "Because," he said slowly, "your wife and I shared something, a secret, and she needed help that night." Michael's heartbeat turned into thunder. "What secret?" he whispered. "What could she possibly be hiding from me?" Daniel stepped even closer and crouched in front of Michael like someone delivering a painful truth. "The secret she carried," Daniel said, voice trembling, "is the reason she never came home. And it's also the reason I saved Lily's life without thinking twice." Michael's breath caught, his throat tightened, he felt dizzy. "What do you want from me, Daniel?" he choked out. "What is this request you said would change my life?" Daniel lowered his head. When he lifted it, his eyes were wet. His voice cracked when he spoke. "Michael, I want you to let me tell Lily the truth. She deserves to know who I really am, and what I am to her." Michael blinked, once, twice. Then the words hit him like a blow to the chest. His voice came out barely above a whisper. "Daniel, who are you to my daughter?" Daniel swallowed hard and answered, "Her mother never told you because she was scared. But Lily, she's not only your daughter." Michael's breath froze. Daniel whispered the last words slowly, painfully. "She's mine too." Michael's world shattered. Everything went dark. For a long moment, Michael couldn't hear anything. Not the distant cars on the road, not the buzzing from the generator behind the workshop, not even his own breathing. He felt completely numb. Daniel's words echoed in his head, each syllable heavier than the last. She's mine too. Michael stared at him, his lips slightly parted, his hands shaking. He wanted to speak, but his voice refused to come out. Everything inside him felt twisted, hurt, confusion, anger, fear, all battling to take control. Finally, he managed to whisper, "What did you just say?" Daniel didn't repeat himself. He didn't need to. The look in his eyes said everything. Michael stood up so fast, the chair behind him toppled over. "That's a lie," he shouted, his voice cracking. "That is a lie, Daniel. Lily is my daughter. Grace was my wife. She loved me. She... His voice trembled. "She would never hide something like that from me." Daniel didn't move. He didn't try to defend himself. He simply looked at the broken man in front of him, with deep sadness. "Michael," he said quietly, "I didn't tell you this to hurt you. I told you because it's time." Michael's chest tightened. Time? Time for what? He took a shaky step backward. "No," he whispered. "No, you're lying. You're trying to break my family. You're trying to take Lily from me." Daniel shook his head. "I'm not trying to take her. I'm trying to protect her." "Protect her? From what?" Michael snapped. Daniel hesitated, and that hesitation scared Michael more than anything else. "The truth opens old wounds. Sit down," Daniel said softly. "No," Michael breathed. "I'm not—" "Michael," Daniel said again, more firmly, "sit." There was something in his voice, an emotion Michael had never heard before, a mix of sorrow and urgency. Slowly, very slowly, Michael sank back into the chair. Daniel remained standing. "When Grace first came here," Daniel began, "she didn't come because of cars or repairs. She came because she needed someone to talk to. Someone who didn't judge her, someone who listened." Michael clenched his jaw hard. He didn't want to hear this. He didn't want to imagine his wife confiding in another man. But Daniel continued, "She was scared, lonely, hurt. You were working night shifts then, doing everything to provide, but she felt like she was sinking. She felt invisible. And He swallowed. "I didn't plan for anything to happen. But sometimes life doesn't ask our permission." Michael shut his eyes. He wanted to scream. He wanted to walk out and pretend none of this was happening. But he stayed. "Grace found comfort here," Daniel said quietly. "And we made a mistake. A mistake she regretted deeply. The moment she found out she was pregnant, she panicked. She didn't know what to do. But when you came home excited, talking about becoming a father, she made her choice." Michael opened his eyes slowly. "Choice?" he whispered. "What choice?" "To keep the truth from you," Daniel replied. "To raise Lily as yours, to give her a stable home, to protect her from the shame she feared." Michael rubbed his forehead with both hands, shaking his head again and again. "No. No, this isn't real. This can't be real." "I'm sorry," Daniel whispered. "I tried to stay away. I moved to another side of Lagos for a while. I kept my distance, but the night she disappeared, she came here. She was crying, terrified, saying someone had threatened her, that if she didn't confess soon, everyone would know the truth." Michael's eyes shot up. "Someone threatened her?" Daniel nodded slowly. "Yes." Michael's stomach dropped. This wasn't just about betrayal anymore. This was something darker. "Who?" Michael asked in a trembling voice. "Who threatened her?" Daniel exhaled slowly. "That's what she came to tell me. She said she had proof. She had something in her handbag. But before she could show me, she ran outside because someone was following her. I begged her not to go. But she ran out into the storm, saying she needed to go home and keep Lily safe." Michael felt his throat tighten. That night, that terrible night, Grace left the house after a phone call he never heard. She said she needed fresh air, and she vanished into the rain. Now Daniel was telling him there had been more, much more. "I searched the whole area for her," Daniel said, voice thick with emotion, "but she disappeared. And the next morning, police came instead." Michael felt sick. For years he had lived with the pain of not knowing. Now he was being told that his wife had been running from something, or someone. Michael finally spoke again, voice barely steady. Why now? He whispered. Why tell me this now? After all these years, why now? Daniel looked at him with eyes full of truth and fear. Because Lily deserves to know who she is, he said. Not because I want custody, not because I want to be part of your family, but because the same danger that chased Grace, he paused, has found Lily. Michael felt his heart stop. What did you say? He whispered. Daniel pulled something from his pocket, a small dirty envelope. This was left at my workshop gate this morning. He handed it to Michael. With trembling fingers, Michael opened it. Inside was a single sheet of paper, just one sentence written in red marker. You couldn't protect the mother. You can't protect the daughter. Michael's entire body went cold. He grabbed the edge of the table to stay upright. Daniel stepped closer. Michael, the person who threatened Grace, is back, and they want something. Something that involves Lily. Michael felt tears burn his eyes. No, not my daughter. Please. Daniel placed a steady hand on his shoulder. I'm telling you the truth because if we don't work together, Lily might disappear the same way Grace did. Michael looked up slowly. What do they want? He choked out. Daniel swallowed hard. That's the part you won't want to hear. Michael felt fear crawl up his spine. Tell me, he whispered. Daniel's voice was low and heavy. They want Lily's blood. Michael's breath stopped. His vision blurred. What? Why? Daniel's next words struck like lightning. Because Lily's heart condition is not natural. It was caused, and the person who did it is the same person who chased Grace. Michael's world spun. He felt like he couldn't breathe. Daniel tightened his grip on his shoulder. Michael, Lily is in danger, and the truth we reveal next will decide if she lives or dies. For a few seconds, Michael couldn't move. He couldn't think. He couldn't even breathe. His daughter's blood, her heart condition, caused... Daniel, he whispered, voice shaking, what do you mean someone caused Lily's sickness? How can a sickness be caused? Daniel took a deep breath and pulled a small stool closer. The night outside the workshop office was completely silent, like even the wind knew something dangerous was being spoken. Michael, he said, Lily was never supposed to be sick. Grace didn't carry any illness. And you're healthy. Her condition wasn't born with her. It was put into her. Michael shook his head quickly. No, that can't be true. She was only a baby when she got sick. Daniel nodded slowly. Yes, exactly. She was a baby. And that's why it worked. Michael felt something cold slide down his spine. Explain it, he said, voice tight. Explain everything. Daniel sighed and sat down. He looked tired in a way that told Michael this truth had been eating him alive for years. When Grace got pregnant, Daniel began, she panicked. She didn't know what to do. She didn't want to destroy your marriage. She didn't want to bring shame to you or herself. So she made a decision. Michael swallowed. Decision? She decided to keep the truth between us. She thought if she lived carefully, Lily would be born healthy and no one would ever know. Daniel looked down, guilt crossing his face. But someone else knew. Someone who shouldn't have known. Michael leaned forward. Who? Daniel shook his head. I don't know his real name. Grace only called him the doctor. But he wasn't a normal doctor. He was a man obsessed with genetics, experiments. Things no hospital would allow. Michael stared at him. What does this have to do with Lily? He demanded. Daniel exhaled. Grace once told me she made a mistake when she was younger. She took part in something he ran, something illegal, and she begged him to leave her alone afterwards. But he refused. Daniel's voice lowered. He wanted her baby. Not to steal, but to study, to test some kind of theory. He believed children born from certain mixed genetic lines had special markers that could be pushed or destroyed. Michael's eyes widened. You're saying he tried to experiment on Lily? Daniel nodded. Grace went to see him privately when she was pregnant. She wanted him to destroy the records of her past, but instead, he injected her with something. She didn't know what it was. She thought it was medicine to calm her down. But months later, Lily was born with a heart that was damaged, fragile, and unpredictable. Michael's hands trembled uncontrollably. He thought of Lily as a baby. So small, so weak, in and out of hospitals. He had blamed God, blamed fate, blamed himself, never imagining someone had done it on purpose. Daniel spoke again, quieter this time. And before Grace disappeared, she came here to tell me she finally knew the truth. The doctor had warned her, if she didn't bring Lily in for treatment, he would take her by force. Michael grabbed Daniel's arm. "Why didn't you go to the police?" "I tried," Daniel said loudly, "but Grace begged me not to. She said this man had connections. Real ones, powerful ones. She was scared her report would disappear, and she would disappear with it." Michael covered his mouth with his hand as tears filled his eyes. "And then she vanished," Daniel finished. The room fell silent, the weight of the truth pressed on Michael's chest like a heavy stone. Michael finally found his voice again. "Why now?" he whispered. "Why wait 18 years? Why go after Lily again?" Daniel slowly touched the envelope sitting on the table. "Because she's grown now. Her body is changing. The markers he put inside her, the ones that damaged her heart, they're becoming clearer, stronger. He wants to finish what he started." Michael's entire body shivered. He closed his eyes and saw Lily's smile, her soft laugh, her small hands holding his when she walked. "No," he whispered, "I won't let anyone touch her. I won't let anyone take her." "I won't either," Daniel said firmly. "That's why I confessed everything. You needed to know what we're facing. You needed to know who Lily really is." Michael looked up at him, eyes burning. "And who is she?" Daniel hesitated, then placed his hand on his chest. "She is our daughter, Michael, yours and mine. And that means she carries 2 bloodlines, 2 genetic codes. That's why he wants her. She is rare and dangerous to him, because she can expose everything." Michael stared at him, emotions swirling like a storm inside him. Hurt, anger, confusion, fear, and something he didn't want to admit. A tiny piece of understanding. Daniel wasn't trying to destroy him. Daniel was terrified too. "So," Michael whispered, "what do we do now?" Daniel stood up and walked toward the small window. He looked out into the dark street. "We protect her," he said, "but first, she needs to know the truth. If anything happens to either of us, she has to know what she carries inside her. She has to know why she has been sick all her life." "No," Michael snapped. "She's too young. She'll break." "She'll break if we hide it," Daniel replied quietly. "Secrets destroyed her mother. They can destroy her too." Michael opened his mouth, then closed it again. Deep inside, he knew Daniel was right. Before he could respond, headlights flashed across the workshop. Both men turned sharply. A car moved slowly across the road, then it stopped directly in front of the workshop. Michael's heart skipped. "Are you expecting someone?" Daniel whispered. "No," Michael replied, stepping closer to him. The car engine went off. The doors did not open. The night felt different suddenly, heavy, like danger was walking toward them quietly. Then, a small object rolled across the ground toward the entrance of the workshop. It stopped right beside Michael's foot. He looked down. His heart dropped. It was Lily's hospital bracelet, the one she had been wearing just that afternoon. Michael's blood turned cold. He dropped to his knees, grabbed the bracelet, and screamed, "Where is my daughter?" The car's headlights blinked once, then the driver stepped out, a tall man in a white coat, smiling, watching them, like he had been waiting. Michael's heart slammed in his chest as the tall man stepped out of the car. He wore a spotless white coat, the kind only doctors or scientists wore, but his smile was wrong. Too calm, too confident, too cold. Michael staggered backward, gripping Lily's bracelet like it was the only thing keeping him alive. "Where is my daughter?" he shouted, voice cracking. Daniel stepped beside him, blocking part of Michael's body with his own. "Michael, stay behind me." The man in the white coat walked closer, hands behind his back. His shoes tapped lightly against the ground, slow, patient, like he enjoyed their fear. "You're late," he said softly. "I expected you both sooner." Michael felt a rush of anger rise in his chest. "Where is Lily? What have you done to her?" The man tilted his head slightly, still wearing that chilling smile. "Relax," he said. "She's safe, for now." Daniel took a step forward, fists clenched. "If you touched her—" "I didn't touch her," the man interrupted smoothly. "She fainted when she tried to walk to the bathroom. I found her outside your apartment building, quite helpless." Michael's knees weakened. Lily fainted. Again. He swallowed hard. Why did you take her?" The man finally dropped his smile. "For the same reason I needed her mother. For the same reason I warned Grace years ago. She carries something rare and valuable. You were warned not to hide her from me." Michael shook his head violently. "You made her sick," he screamed. "She was just a baby. Why did you do that to her?" The man in the white coat nodded slowly, as if the question made perfect sense. "Because I needed to see how her body would respond to the activation agent. The experiment wasn't complete." Daniel's eyes burned with rage. "You destroyed her childhood. You destroyed Grace. And now you want Lily." The man locked eyes with Daniel. "She is more than a child. She is proof of a theory I have spent my entire life developing. Grace was supposed to help me finish it, but she ran, and you," he pointed at Daniel, "encouraged her useless fear." Michael grabbed Daniel's arm, whispering shakily, "Who is he?" Daniel's jaw tightened. "Grace's past, the one secret she couldn't escape." Michael felt chills crawl across his skin. "Let me reintroduce myself," the man said, placing a hand over his chest. "I am Dr. Adrian Cole, and Lily belongs to my research." Michael lunged at him, but Daniel pulled him back just in time. "Don't give him what he wants," Daniel whispered urgently. "He wants you to act on emotion. He thrives on fear." Dr. Cole sighed dramatically. "All this noise, when all I want is a simple trade." Daniel stiffened. "A trade?" "Yes." Dr. Cole smiled again. "Bring Lily to me tonight, voluntarily, and I will give you something you've both wanted for years." Michael's throat closed. "What could you possibly give me?" Dr. Cole slowly reached into his coat and pulled out a brown leather handbag. Michael's eyes widened. His heart stopped. He knew that bag. He had carried it for hours the night his wife disappeared. He had prayed someone would find it. He had cried when the police told him they found nothing. It was Grace's bag, untouched, unopened. Michael's breathing turned uneven. "You lied," he whispered. "You said she left nothing behind." Dr. Cole shrugged. "She did leave something behind, but I kept it, for the right moment." Daniel stepped closer, voice shaking with anger. "What's inside that bag? What did Grace die trying to show us?" Dr. Cole held the bag gently, like it was treasure. "Everything," he said softly. "Her written confession, her medical records, the truth about Lily's condition, proof of my research, documents that could destroy me, or destroy you." Michael's breath caught. Grace had tried to save them, and this man stole her last chance. "Now," Dr. Cole said, straightening, "you want it? You want the truth Grace died for? You want to know how to save Lily's heart forever?" Michael's body tensed. "Bring Lily to me. That is the price." Michael stared at him, horrified. "You are a monster." Dr. Cole smiled proudly. "I am a scientist." Daniel grabbed Michael's arm and pulled him back toward the workshop office. "We need to think," Daniel whispered urgently. "You can't give him Lily, not even for answers." Michael broke down, tears fell fast. "Daniel, she's my child, my only child. I can't lose her the way I lost Grace. Tell me what to do, please." Daniel's eyes softened. "We fight," he said simply. "We fight for Lily. We fight for Grace. We fight for the truth." Michael looked at him with trembling eyes. "But how? He's powerful. He has connections. He knows everything. Daniel gripped his shoulders firmly. "Michael, listen to me. He does not have the one thing he wants most." Michael blinked. "What?" Daniel leaned in close. "He doesn't have Lily." "But he took her bracelet." Daniel shook his head. "He found the bracelet. But he didn't take her." Michael froze. "What do you mean?" Daniel looked over Michael's shoulder toward the dark corner of the workshop. "Come out," Daniel said softly. Michael turned. And there, stepping out from behind the stacks of tires, weak, scared, But alive was Lily. Michael dropped to his knees as she ran into his arms. "Dad," she cried, clinging to him, "I heard everything. I woke up outside. I was confused. I tried to follow your voice." Michael held her so tightly he could barely breathe. Dr. Cole's face twisted with shock and frustration. Daniel stepped forward. "You failed, Doctor," he said, "and now we end this." Dr. Cole reached into his coat quickly, too quickly. Daniel reacted instantly. He grabbed the metal rod leaning against the wall and swung it hard. It struck Dr. Cole's arm, sending a small syringe skidding across the ground. Dr. Cole stumbled backward, holding his injured arm. "You fools," he hissed. "You think you can stop me? You think this ends here? I made Lily. She belongs to me." Michael rose to his feet, trembling with rage. "No," he said firmly, "she belongs to God. She belongs to herself. She belongs to family. She belongs to love. Not science. Not you." Daniel placed a hand on Michael's shoulder. "Get Lily out of here. I'll hold him back." Michael hesitated. "Go!" Daniel shouted. Michael lifted Lily into his arms and ran into the night. Behind him, he heard Daniel shout, Dr. Cole scream, metal crashing. But he didn't stop running, not until the workshop disappeared behind them, not until Lily whispered, "Dad, what happens now?" Michael kissed her forehead gently. "We're going to tell the truth," he whispered. "All of it. Grace's truth, Daniel's truth, the doctor's crimes, everything." "But will Daniel be okay?" she asked softly. Michael swallowed hard. "I don't know," he said. Then he looked ahead into the dark street. A street that suddenly felt like the beginning of something new. "But we won't run anymore," he whispered. "We won't hide. We will fight. For you, for your mother, for the life you deserve." Lily held his shirt tightly, and somewhere behind them, in the darkness of Lagos, a siren began to wail, growing louder, growing closer. Their fight wasn't over, but their fear was. If you like this story, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel for more interesting stories.